Good evening. Welcome again to my Astroblog here at astrologer.com.au. I'm Dadhichi. It's pretty late here in Sydney, Australia, so I won't talk too long, but I was thinking tonight, Western astrologers have this rather generalized view of the good planets and the bad planets. We hear about Jupiter being the magnificent benefactor that's going to bless each and every one of us when it happens to be in a certain position of the heavens, whereas poor old Saturn has been relegated to that position of a hard taskmaster who only does bad, particularly on that 30-year Saturn return. Well, you know what? That's a whole lot of BS. And actually, if you study these planets based upon thousands of horoscopes, you start to realize that depending on the moment that you're born, each planet can actually assume a different role, either for good or for bad. Let's take, for example, the rising sign, the ascendant of a person born with Leo rising on the eastern horizon. Now, in this particular instance, the planet Saturn will have jurisdiction over the 6th space or house of Capricorn and the 7th space or house of Aquarius. In this case, the rulership of Saturn over the 6th house is certainly not good for a Leo's health, but it may in fact give some benefits for relationships and marriage, that type of thing. On the other hand, so therefore, in that case, we can say that Saturn is certainly not a good planet for those born under Leo. However, a person born, let's say, under a rising sign of Taurus actually has Saturn ruling the 9th house of Capricorn and the 10th house, the 10th space of Aquarius. Now, these two houses of the horoscope are supposedly the two most wonderful directions of the zodiac, and Saturn assumes a dual rulership over these two parts of the heavens, meaning that for Taurus borns, Saturn is an excellent planet and certainly won't do near the harm that we would expect from someone, say, born under Leo. So that's the sort of thing I'm talking about here. We can't automatically assume that a planet is going to be either good or bad for each and every person on this planet. Just using the example of Taurus, Jupiter in that particular instance assumes a very malefic role in its jurisdiction over the 8th place and the 11th place, because according to Vedic astrology, the 8th house is the stronger house of Jupiter ruling Sagittarius. That planet will actually give mostly the results of that really difficult area of the zodiac. I just have to get that off my chest because we really can't generalize in these sort of areas, which is why it's so important to really prepare the horoscope from the specific time of birth so that we can establish which of those directions is really working for you and which isn't. Once we establish that, we can then look at some other fairly interesting astrological criteria to determine the remedies that can help neutralize that. But that's for another session, and I hope you'll be coming back to find out about that. What I'd like to do in that instance is to go back through each of the different star signs and to explain to you what remedies for which planets will actually bring you a lot more good luck, happiness and spiritual evolution. Have a great evening. Great to speak with you again. I'm Dadhichi from astrologer.com.au.